Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review. The XX Coexist.
The XX, you always remind me of sex.
The XX is a London quartet turned trio who made its full-length debut 3 short years ago. That album, this album, turned heads around the world. These guys made it onto a lot of year-end lists with this LP, a lot of adoration across the indie sphere, as well as a Mercury Prize under their belts. But admittedly, I did not like this album really, honestly, outside of a few tracks. I still don't, and I will explain my reasons why in this review. But first, let me try to, I guess, sort of paint a picture of what makes the XX so appealing. The XX pretty much writes very skeletal, simple indie pop that is quiet as the Dickens. And the music also features some pretty subtle R&B influences and some very crisp beats inspired by electronic music as well. Pretty much every XX track is fronted by these very breathy, understated boy-girl vocals that deliver lyrics about lust and longing, desire, and love on the rocks. And all of these ingredients kind of add up to an end product that is perceived to be very shy, but also very sexy and sensual, and understated but kind of emotive and passionate as well. But for me, hearing what somebody is shooting for and actually feeling it being a thing that is just so thick and tangible in the music are two completely different things. And that's where I'm coming from on the debut. That's where I'm coming from with the XX in general. As much as they try to drum all of these sexy, lustful, and very shy emotions up, I just don't really connect with any of them. I do think these guys have style, you know, I will give them that. They have great production to go along with that style as well, but to me, execution matters, writing matters, and I kind of feel like that's where the XX suffers. To go back to the emotion, I know people are pulling them primarily from the vocals on the XX's tracks. And I think in this case, people are really kind of construing being quiet and just being very, you know, whispery with being passionate. I could definitely see someone likening what the XX does to a lover whispering in your ear. But I can't help but feel like interpreting the XX's vocals as just an overall lack of emotion, of authentic emotion, because all the vocals on this LP are delivered with the same flat, moany, faked orgasm-like mumbles. It's like a facade that they just put on to perform these songs. And, you know, I understand it's music, it's entertainment, everything is a facade to an extent, but to me, nothing the XX does suspends belief, especially when I'm hearing Miss Croft and Amy straining when they're singing, either missing notes or just kind of weaving in and out of pitch. Usually I can see myself seeing past something like that if I feel like there's a really awesome attitude or just emotion behind a vocal, but I'm just not getting that from the XX like I know a lot of people are. Transmission not being received. Another thing that kind of keeps this connection from happening is that I feel like the lyrics that the XX writes are so vague. The lack of details in a number of these tracks could make it so that just about anybody could apply their personal situation to the song. And that to me kind of reads as being generic, as being shallow. I mean, what separates one thing from another thing are the details. Everything the XX says only adds up to a very roughly sketched emotion. The only thing on this LP and their previous LP that I think the XX are great at, are consistent with, is creating some nice grooves, creating a very subtle atmosphere, very kind of serene, very pleasant to the ears. I like the idea that they had for the opener to just kind of pair the vocals with just a guitar. It really kind of, to me, had a modernized Motown kind of feel to it. I love the chord progression on the track Missing. That's really nice. The song Fiction, to me, has really one of the darkest beats I've ever heard the XX produce. And I love how they kind of color it with this really long, dark, deep piano note. The piano on the track Swept Away is really beautiful and delicate. And the addition of strings on the track Tides, I mean, they sound great too. Nice touch. But to me, these are just kind of motifs and moods, because on a lot of these tracks, the XX just kind of bows out or just ends a song abruptly because it doesn't seem like they know how to really tie something together and create a finish. Especially on the track Chains, which to me is an example of another issue that I have with this album. While the XX is great at creating an instrumental mood or a groove, whenever they try to make something stand out, like the guitar solo toward the end of that track, it just comes out really, really bad. However, if you like this album, if you really love this album, and just the XX in general, I understand. I mean, what they're trying to do emotionally appeals to you. It connects with you. You know, it does not with me. I mean, I'm sure that's going to make some fans happy that they kind of stuck to their guns, but I really kind of feel like they said everything they had to say on that debut album until they drum up a different idea. Coexist does work with a few different beats. You know, you kind of catch a future garage beat on here in a moment that kind of sounds like it would be nice backing a Burial track. And these guys definitely do try to vary things up a little bit instrumentally and production wise, but still, you know, all those things I mentioned, there's still things I don't like about this album. So I'm kind of feeling a strong 4 to a light 5 on this LP. If you dig it, you dig it. If you don't, you don't. But whether or not you do or don't, let me know. Did you love this? Did you hate this? Why? And what should I review next? Anthony Fantano, the XX, forever.